Hey, you! Before you watch this, pause the video and subscribe to SemiPro right now. Megatron. In my opinion, the most underrated player of the 2010s. I know what you were probably thinking, he isn't underrated, he had a really good career and got appreciation. And while that is true, I just don't think people fully understand how great he actually was. He had a shortened and largely wasted career in Detroit, unfortunately, which really doesn't make it look as good as it could have been. Calvin was the most physically imposing receiver to ever play the game. Standing at 6'5", 237 pounds, he was still always one of the fastest and most athletic guys on the field at all times. He ran a 4.35 40-yard dash, which in case you didn't know is ridiculous for someone his size. For reference, that is just about 3% slower than the all-time 40-yard dash record holder at the Combine, John Ross, and Johnson outweighed him by a whopping 45 pounds. He was a freak of nature at his height. His size was almost unfair, and he made corners look like toys all the time. With a 40-inch vertical and a broad jump of almost 12 feet, this guy was impossible to stop in the air. If you combine his wingspan and vertical, he had a 12.5 maximum reach. The same as Shaq. Yeah, you heard me right. Shaq. Literally all you had to do was throw it up to the man. Again, an absolute freak of nature and meets every single possible prototype you could want in a receiver. If you were going to make one in Madden, he would be your build. All of these insane measurables don't mean shit if you can't produce, but Calvin did, and at the highest level. I'm talking like Randy Moss level. In 9 NFL seasons, Megatron had 7 1,000 plus yard seasons, with 4 of those being over 1,300 yards and 2 of them leading the league. He also caught 12 plus touchdowns 4 times. Again, this man was borderline unstoppable one-on-one, and he was a great route runner for someone his size who knew how to use his athleticism to body corners. One of the games that sticks out to me with Megatron, and one that I will always remember as a display of how great he was his performance in 2013 against the Cowboys. He caught 14 of 16 passes thrown his way and finished the win over Dallas with 329 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. He broke the single-game Lions record of Cloyce Box, who had 302 receiving yards on December 3rd, 1950. It was also the highest receiving yardage ever in an NFL regulation length game, and the second highest overall in a single game, behind Flipper Anderson, who had 336 yards and an overtime win in 1989. The Lions beat the Cowboys that day, thank God, 31-30. He just had an insane ability to be able to take over games, like no receiver I have ever seen. When he got into his rhythm, there was simply no stopping him. He just imposed his will. He retired much too early due to his publicly cited reason of health, but also his more, well, at least somewhat private reasons of friction between him and the Lions. He wanted out, and the Lions didn't want him to go. He didn't see the point in putting in work for a team that was going nowhere, so he hung it up. Honestly, I don't really blame the guy. Football is a crazy demanding sport. The Lions unfortunately wasted the man. They gave him a decent enough QB who fit his strengths, but the rest of the team was just never good enough to go anywhere. And Calvin made them seem much better than they actually were a lot of the time. So the wasting of his career is why I say he's underrated. He never got a chance to finish out one of the best starts to a wide receiver's career ever. In fact, he was the quickest ever to reach 10,000 yards. The sky was the limit for him, and at age 30 when he called it quits, it just seemed like he left so much out there. Because of the early retirement, he doesn't have the all-time numbers of a Jerry Rice or a Randy Moss. He will never be put in the same category as them because of that, and that is okay, but it is important to understand for all the kids out there who grew up watching Megatron, and also those who never got to see him play, that he was one of the best to ever do it. Regardless of numbers, this guy is a top 3 all-time talent at the position, and sadly, he just doesn't get the recognition for that a lot of the time. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. There is way more where this came from. Dope sports content comes out every single day here. Thank you for watching so much and have a blessed rest of your day.